You need to come to the hospital right now. That one sentence changed my entire life in less than 5 seconds. If you have ever had a moment where your whole world tilted sideways instantly, you already know exactly how this story begins. Stay with me till the end, because what happened next is something I still find hard to believe. My name is Ryan Mitchell. I am 37 years old, and I run a small construction business in Denver. Nothing fancy, just early mornings, long days, and a lot of coffee. Everything I built for my wife Claire and our 9-year-old daughter, Sophie. I was not a rich man, but I thought I was a lucky one. That morning I was standing in a parking lot when my brother-in-law called, his voice shaking so badly I could barely understand him. Claire got hurt, and the man she was with, he ran. My keys slipped out of my hand onto the pavement. I asked quietly, "What man?" The silence on the other end answered before he ever spoke again. My wife of 12 years had been having an affair, and that affair had just fallen apart in the worst possible way. At the hospital, Claire looked terrible. Bruised face, a splint on her wrist, cuts on her forehead. "Ryan," she whispered. I said nothing. Later, a doctor explained everything. Claire had been at a cabin with another man. They argued. He was drunk, got behind the wheel anyway, lost control, hit a guardrail, and fled before anyone arrived. He left her there, alone. The same way she had already left me, emotionally, for almost a year. "I made a mistake," she cried. "Please don't leave me." A mistake. People forget anniversaries by mistake. Nobody accidentally spends 11 months lying to the person they promised their life to. That night, sitting alone in my truck, I learned the rest. The fake work trips, the hidden second phone. Even some of our closest friends had known and said nothing. What broke me most was not the affair itself. It was realizing how calm she had looked every single time she lied straight to my face. Everyone suddenly had opinions. Her mother begged me not to destroy the family. My sister said, "People make mistakes, Ryan. Think about Sophie." Even our pastor said a real marriage survives its storms. Funny how nobody talks about how the betrayed person survives the storm inside their own chest. And funny how quickly people who were not there suddenly become experts on what you should forgive. Claire came home 2 weeks later, cast on her wrist, guilt filling every room, but guilt does not undo anything. One night, she found me alone in the kitchen at 2 a.m. "I'll do anything," she cried. "Please, don't throw us away." I looked at her calmly. "You already threw us away," I said. That sentence broke her more than the crash ever had. For weeks, I tried counseling, tried smiling for Sophie, tried listening to apology after apology. Then one evening, I came home early and heard Claire upstairs, laughing on speakerphone. "I just want my old life back," she said. Her old life, not her old husband, just her old life. That was the moment everything became clear. She was not devastated because she broke my heart. She was devastated because consequences had finally caught up with her. A few days later, I sat outside a law office for 20 minutes before walking in. "My wife had an affair, and I think I want a divorce," I said out loud for the first time. Heavier than thinking it, but also lighter somehow. I did not tell Claire right away. When I finally did, on a quiet Sunday afternoon, her face went pale. "We agreed we would work on this," she said. "I know you're trying," I told her, "but trying to fix something and actually fixing it are different things." Sophie asked me later, "Did I do something wrong, Daddy?" I held her hand. "No, sweetheart. Sometimes grown-ups make choices that hurt each other. That has nothing to do with how much we love you." The investigation into the crash moved forward, too. The man Claire had been with, Trevor, had a previous record for reckless driving and was now facing charges for driving under the influence and leaving the scene of an accident with an injured passenger still inside the car. He never once reached out to check if Claire survived. Not a call, not a message, nothing. The man she had risked everything for simply disappeared the moment things got difficult. The divorce process moved forward calmly without much fighting over money or the house. We agreed, surprisingly easily, on shared custody of Sophie. The hardest part was never the paperwork or the lawyers. It was watching an 8-year-old try to understand why her parents suddenly lived in 2 different places. On the morning of the court hearing, I felt strangely calm, like I was finally putting down something heavy I had carried for months. The judge finalized everything in a calm, practiced voice. "You two have handled this about as amicably as I have seen in a long time," she said. Outside, Claire said, "I really am sorry, Ryan, for all of it. I told her, I believe you, I just wish you'd thought about this before instead of after everything fell apart." Life slowly settled into a new rhythm. I threw myself into work. Claire moved into a smaller apartment. Trevor moved out of state around the time his legal troubles started. He never contacted her again. There was a quiet kind of justice in that. People who build relationships on lies rarely stick around once those lies stop working for them. Months later, my sister asked if I regretted the divorce. "I regret that it happened," I said, but not how I responded. If I'd stayed just to keep the family together on paper, I would have slowly disappeared inside my own resentment. Slowly, the anger inside me started fading into something quieter, more manageable. One evening, almost 6 months after the hearing, Sophie leaned her head on my shoulder while we watched a movie. "Dad, you smile a lot more now," she said. Those simple words hit me harder than almost anything else that year. She was right. I was slowly becoming myself again. 8 months after the divorce, Claire's mother called, asking if Claire was really okay. I admitted I did not fully know anymore. A few weeks later, Claire and I met for coffee to discuss Sophie's school schedule. She told me she had started seeing a therapist. "I did not cheat because of anything you did wrong," she said. "I never learned how to sit with discomfort in my own life. I ran from it, straight into something that felt exciting, without considering what it would destroy." It was the most honest thing she had said since this all began. Around that time, I started rebuilding myself too. I went back to the gym, reconnected with old friends, and slowly started dating someone named Hannah, who was patient enough to let me heal at my own pace. Sophie continued adjusting beautifully, resilient in a way kids often surprise us with. Almost a year later, Claire called, her voice shaky. "Trevor's case finally went to trial," she said. "He got convicted." I felt no celebration, just a quiet sense that consequences had finally caught up with him. "How do you feel?" I asked her. "Relieved," she said. "Like this whole chapter of my life is finally closing." The final real conversation between us happened almost exactly a year after the accident. We met at the same coffee shop. "I wanted to thank you," Claire said, "for not destroying me. You had every right to, and you didn't." I told her honestly, I thought about it, but every time I pictured Sophie caught in the middle, she deserved better than that. Claire admitted something that stuck with me for a long time. "I used to think losing you would be the worst part of everything I did, but the worst part was realizing who I became during those 11 months. That version of myself is what I've been working hardest to leave behind." Walking to my car that night, I felt something I had not expected. Not happiness exactly, peace. Looking back now, almost 2 years removed from that terrifying phone call, I understand things I could not have understood in the middle of all that chaos. Healing is never a straight line. Some days you feel completely fine, and other days a small memory pulls you right back into that hospital room, that courtroom, that kitchen table at 2 in the morning. But slowly, painfully, one day at a time, things do get better. Trust can be rebuilt. Maybe not with the same person, but within yourself, in your own ability to love again without losing yourself in the process. Sophie still believes deeply in love, in family, in the idea that people can make mistakes and still find ways to move forward with dignity. I think that says more about how Claire and I chose to handle everything after the betrayal than anything that happened during it. As for me, I am more guarded now, more careful about who I let into my inner circle, but I am also more grateful, more present, more aware of what truly matters in life and what does not. If you have made it this far, I want you to know something important. Betrayal, no matter how devastating it feels in the moment, does not have to define the rest of your life. You get to decide who you become on the other side of it. You get to decide whether pain turns you bitter, or whether it teaches you something valuable about resilience, about boundaries, about your own worth. If there are people watching this right now standing exactly where I once stood, keys slipping through their fingers, world falling apart in real time, I want you to hear this clearly. It will not always feel this heavy. The nights will not always feel this long. Somewhere on the other side of this pain, there is a version of you who smiles again, who trusts again, who feels whole again, even if it takes longer than you want it to. If this story resonated with you in any way, if you have ever experienced betrayal or had to rebuild your life from scratch, I would love to hear your own story in the comments below. And if you want more real, honest stories like this one, make sure you subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, and share this video with someone who might need it. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, and I will see you in the next story.